Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I am your ever-loving host, Shorty. And we're going to review some cosmic horror today, specifically this one. Start of the Marvel event King in Black, although there's already, well, I say it already has been. Union came out and I read that first. Although that's like just a thing where a dragon turns up, so, you know. And I was a little bit skeptical about reviewing this one, I've got to be completely honest. Two reasons. Number one, from what I can gather, it doesn't really capture what for me makes cosmic horror horrifying. And number two, it's a big Marvel event, and they can be sometimes overwrought, and sometimes like they'll market themselves as being this huge, world-changing event, but everything just goes back to normal once it's done. Because the entire thing that Marvel Comics does is carry on putting out comic books that they know people are going to like. It's called playing it safe. It's what mainstream companies tend to do, whereas a small independent creator-owned ones can generally have a little bit more fun with it because they don't have the expectation of making Marvel amounts of money. So let's deal with a few of these things in order. Is it a cosmic horror? Well, cosmic horror, popularized, I say, by Lovecraft, is this idea that we live in a cosmos of such scale and grandiosity, and we're small and insignificant, and that scale is like the terrifying thing, that there could be creatures, entities, consciousnesses out there which could encapsulate far more of the cosmos and would consider us so small and insignificant that they wouldn't even notice if they devoured the planet. That kind of like cosmic horror is what I think of. This is just a dude called Null, who is, yes, an ancient cosmic entity who has defeated, I can't remember the term for it, but like giant things, and you know, set out to destroy all life in the universe. It's like that. The difference there is that's an intent. It isn't just not noticing because we are so small and insignificant. It is a deliberate attack on humanity because of things that humanity has done, or specifically things that superheroes have done. So it's like, okay, maybe not cosmic horror per se. Another thing is, well, is it going to really change anything? There has been a major death in this. To be honest, it's been out for a few days now. Chances are that's been spoiled, but I'm not going to say exactly what happens. But say it's one of the most powerful characters in the Marvel Universe that just gets torn apart by Null, then yeah, I'd like to think there might be some change, but you know, superheroes never really die. And looking at the state of the world as it is just at the end of issue 1, it's like, well, there's no way that's going to stay the same. To compare it to like a smaller kind of comic book, Daredevil, I've been reading at the moment, has had a massive change in it. But based on the fact that it's Chip Zdarsky writing it, who has committed to long-form storytelling, apparently this is going to be the new status quo for at least 2 years. And it's like, yeah, that actually is a valid thing to say. We are going to change something. And it kind of came out of nowhere. It's why everyone was wanting to get it. Big Marvel events don't really do that, and I don't really think this one's going to do that either. So those are my two big gripes with it. Do I enjoy it? Actually, yes, I do. I mean, Donny Cates is a good writer. He's never quite had that spark for me where it lifts and elevates to the point of like, oh my god, I absolutely have to get this. And he's never really written a character that I've like really had a lot of love for. Guardians of the Galaxy, Silver Surfer, Thor, Venom. They're cool Marvel characters, but I've never really gone out my way to pick up any of those titles. So him suddenly coming on board wouldn't have me go, oh gosh, I can't wait to see what he does with that character. I mean, to go back to Daredevil as an example, I was going to buy that anyway. The fact Chip Zdarsky's done a great job is fantastic, but it's not necessarily like he wasn't the reason I was picking it up. It was for the character. But again, he's a good writer, and Stegman's art is brilliant. He's up there with one of the better artists currently doing internal work for Marvel. He's not Jason Burrows, but that's just a personal choice. To be honest, a lot of people would probably say he's better than Jason Burrows. He doesn't quite go for the really bold lines. He's a little bit more subtle, and I think that works quite nicely, especially when it comes to facial expressions. You get a lot more shades to it rather than just a bold out and out kind of obvious expression stuff. But you know, that's a personal taste kind of thing. So, what actually about the individual comic I'm talking about right now? Well, I say it is fun. It is actually a cool comic book story. I think if I was going to layer on my criticism, it'd just be doing it as the kind of like idea of cosmic horror. I think that could be like something I put onto. I don't know, but don't think of it that way. It is just another giant threat to the Marvel universe, and they're going to basically have to deal with it. Now, it's a certain formulaic kind of thing that Marvel do here, and well, not just Marvel, but DC do it as well, which is bad guy turns up, and for several issues, it's going to be heroes fighting a losing battle and trying various tactics until eventually they'll figure out what it is going to be to destroy it. I don't know what that's going to be at the moment. but because Eddie Brock has a kid and that's tied into it, it's probably going to be something to do with that. But I'm not entirely sure how it's going to work just yet. But that is kind of how these events go. So it's worth just bearing that in mind and thinking, is it a ride I want to take? Will I enjoy this? And yes, Donny Cates is a great writer. Stegman is an absolutely brilliant artist. Both of them have got really good takes on a lot of the characters that are involved in this, and it does tie in with what's going on in Thor at the moment as well. And there's a lot of other stuff that's going to be happening at the same time. If you're a Marvel fan, I absolutely think this is a good event to jump on. I've enjoyed reading this one more than I did some of the other like issue ones of stuff. Like the Empire thing didn't really grab me. Whatever it was with Captain America joining Hydra, that didn't do anything for me at all. Hickman's stuff, I mean, yes, I think if I was getting some X-Men stuff, that probably would attract me to it. But this is the first issue one of a Marvel event where I'm like, you know what, this is actually a good event. It's doing everything it's supposed to be doing, and it's doing it well. Anyway, that's just me. I'm going to be back on Tuesday for a new comic book day video and a new review. Take it easy. Bye.